Wow, what a privilege to be here today because I am a two-time graduate of OSU. I bleed orange. I have two nieces who are enrolled here right now on campus. And OSU made a difference in my life. I came here to study history. I had a passion for history. I wanted to write books. I came here to work with leaders like Dr. Odie Falk, Dr. Leroy Fisher, Dr. Norbert Mencken, and the other people in this department at the time. And they taught me valuable lessons, not just about history, but how to take lessons from history that can be applied in our own lives. And I would take that skill set and written many books, written exhibits, and worked on museum projects and screenplays and documentaries. And what I learned years ago, that I was drawn to one theme more than any other, and that was how people, individuals, deal with challenges and take advantage of opportunities. Just a reference to 3 of my books and how that was an important lesson. Troy Smith grew up in Seminole County, and in 1953 had a little restaurant with a hamburger stand out front. That would grow into what we now know as Sonic America's Drive-Ins. I wrote a biography of Jack Zink, a graduate of A&M, whose son Darton would become a graduate of OSU, and then how Jack dealt with challenges in a changing industry with a declining domestic market in oil and gas, but yet learned to be an innovator, developed the first test furnace for combustion, and win the Indianapolis 500 as a team owner twice in 1955 and 56. Or the book that I just finished a couple of months ago that will be out in December, which is a history of Love's Country Stores and Travel Stops. The story of Tom Love, without a penny, started a filling station in Watonga, Oklahoma in 1964, and would build it into Love's Travel Stops. 306 stores, coast to coast, valued now at $3.5 billion in one family. Well, these lessons have come out of my study and passion for history. And fortunately, I've been able to use those in my own career. I graduated with my PhD at OSU in 1979, went to the Oklahoma Historical Society, which was the home of Oklahoma history. The documents were there, the photographs, the stories that I wanted to pursue. But what I found was a historical society at a crossroads. It had been created in 1893 to collect newspapers, organized in Kingfisher, Oklahoma, became a territorial agency in 1895 with the newspapermen of the territory behind them, a state agency in 1907, again with the newspapermen behind them, and it would grow, moved to the basement of the state capitol in 1914, and then would get its own building there on Lincoln Boulevard in 1929 and 1930 that would usher in a golden age of collecting, of bringing in 4 million document pages of Indian history from the Dawes Commission, of starting collections of newspapers where we now have 33 million pages stored of every community in this state. And it was the golden age of the Oklahoma Historical Society, but yet the leadership failed. Referring back to the stress levels, is that the leadership did not keep up with the demands that were facing the Oklahoma Historical Society, and more importantly, did not have the leadership to take advantage of the opportunities. So they could not deal with the challenges, could not deal with the opportunities, and not much was happening when I got there in 1979. It was a split organization. Was it going to be an inward-looking antiquarian society where a few privileged people had the chance to play with the documents or travel around the state doing historic tours for those who could afford to go on the tour? Or was it going to reach out and be inclusive and share all of this with the general public? Was it going to be a modern organization that embraced change, or was it going to retreat into the 4 walls around them? Well, for my first 10 years of the Historical Society, I couldn't wait. I was young, I was eager, I thought I was going to change the world. Started a book publishing program, reaching out through the Chronicles of Oklahoma, building bridges around the state with individuals, writing books. And in 1989, had an opportunity to do something about it. Became deputy director in charge of operations. We became director 10 years later. Started building those bridges with the rest of the state, and started thinking about what did we need to turn the corner, to get out of this crossroads, to get out of this lethargy. How could we start a new projection upwards? Well, first we had to start with unified vision. We had to be on the same page. In working with board members such as Denzel Garrison and Leroy Fisher and others, we pulled together. And it says, we have a simple mission. Let's simplify it. That mission is to collect, preserve, and share Oklahoma history. If we can't do that, why are we doing it? And the best projects out of all of those possible out there would be those that would help us collect, preserve, and share. Not the ors, but the ands. So if we're going to do an exhibit, let's do one that helps us build a collection, that provides the ability to raise the money to do the conservation and preservation, and look for innovative ways to share it. Well, once we had the mission, and it became a mantra, and I now hear my young staff saying that daily, I love to hear that coming back to me, is that we have to have a blueprint. What defines success and failure? We developed a document that has this boring name of Historic Context Review that broke our mission to collect, preserve, and share into a geographical context. Are we dealing with the entire state? Into a chronological context. Are we dealing with all time periods, especially more modern history? And are we dealing with every theme? Are we treating minority story as quickly as we are with the land runs or Indian history? Are we looking at urban history as well as rural? And with those blueprints, we started changing. And out of this period of change in the 90s and into the new millennium came another set of threes that we apply today. The formula, the road map to implement the blueprint to accomplish the unified mission was higher standards, greater efficiencies, and partnerships. We really believe that if we could raise our standards and say mediocrity is not good enough, then we might get some additional resources. And then if we could prove that we would use those resources in an efficient way and leverage it whenever possible, then people and organizations would say, we want to help. We have a shared mission. And it began working through the 90s. And then the opportunity, after dealing with challenges for over 20 years, the opportunity comes along in 1998. We have a governor, Frank Keating, who does not want to accept the mediocrity. He is saying the state capital does not reflect a growing state that can be more than it has been. We had leaders like Kelly Haney, who wanted to develop the Capitol complex, Jim Hamilton, who wanted to get state agencies back into a consolidated state capitol complex, Justice Yvonne Cogger, who believed that our old building looked like a Supreme Court building. And all of this coming together at a time when the economy is just starting to grow after about 15 years of the Second Great Depression that started with the fall of Penn Square Bank in '82, the failure of First National Bank in '85. And coming out of that, new hope. You see that in Oklahoma City with the MAPS projects. You see it in the oil patch with new investments, these new companies like Chesapeake and Devon and Continental beginning to get a little traction and the economy beginning to change. And these leaders says, let's make an investment in the Capitol complex. They drew us into the conversation. And again, we were consistent. We know what our unified mission is. We know what our strategy should be, but we cannot compromise on the last three. We cannot accept anything less than first class, highest standards. We want to be a Smithsonian affiliate and affiliate of the National Archives. Those are our standards. Anything less is not good enough. We want to be better than Texas, which usually worked in my speeches around the state. You know, one politician said, the key to election is never say anything good about Texas. And so we said, we will not compromise. And if you will trust us with those resources, we will invest them wisely. And then we really, truly believe that the partners will step up. Frank Keating believed in that mission, and we received the first funding in '99, additional state assistance in 2003. And with that beginning, we reached out to the rest of the state and says, we want to build a temple of history that will be the best in the United States, not number 8, not number 46. We want to have the best history center. And we think we can do that. We know we can do that. We were able to raise $12 million at an agency that had never raised any money to speak of. $12 million that leveraged our state investment to create the Oklahoma Historical Society. We were able to draw in talent like Dan Provo, whose son just finished his degree here at OSU in engineering, to be in charge of the museum. Chad Williams, a young man who volunteered for 2 years to get a job. Now he's the director of research. Kathy Dixon, who would come in and help reorganize our museums and sites. Bob Thomas, an architect, who came out of private practice to be my deputy director to make sure this once-in-a-lifetime investment would be done the best possible way. And in 2005, we opened the Oklahoma History Center, a $62 million investment. Since that time, that building has created a new brand. No longer the Hysterical Society. Now we're the Oklahoma History Center, affiliated with the Smithsonian, affiliated with the National Archives, the only state or local organization in the entire country that has both affiliations. We've been able to raise more than $1 million a year since that time for new exhibits. The collections, we're getting a collection a day. Many of these collections have thousands of pieces. You may have seen the press last year on Leon Russell's collection of 4,000 items coming in from musical history, the Bob Wills collection for an earlier generation, 1.4 million photographs from old Pubco when they sold. The collections are coming in. People are trusting us. We can raise the money. We can attract young people who want to be part of a unified vision with a roadmap, with a way to make all of this happen. Well, through my books, through the History Center, my training at OSU, the mentors that I've had across this state, up to Tom Love right now, is that I really believe that a community is built on how individuals deal with challenges and take advantage of opportunities. And then I think, most importantly, that we believe that each of us, by doing that, can make a difference. Thank you very much.